Hey everyone, so today I want to talk about above the fold content and why it's so important for your e-commerce brand. And if done correctly, you can actually leverage this to increase your customer retention and really boost your sales for your e-com brand without increasing your ad spend at all. So first thing I want to do before we jump into the presentation is I want to just take 1 second, introduce myself just to provide some context here. So over the past 10 years or so, I've had quite a diverse education in both marketing and the arts and advertising. I have formal education in graphic design with branding, web design, e-commerce as a customer acquisition specialist, and I also have a diploma in theater and live performance, which allowed me to, travel around the world a little bit, perform in front of people, be on some TV spots, do a bit of film. It was a great experience for me to sort of express myself more artistically. Now, in terms of my experience, I actually spent about 7 years before getting into any kind of marketing or web or e-commerce, actually traveling around the world. And I spent about 4 years in Norway, a year in Australia, loads of time down in South America, Central America, China, Southeast Asia, all over Europe, all over the US, all over Canada. What it really did was it really gave me a very holistic understanding of people and what actually drives them to buy, what those buying decisions and purchasing decisions are. And it really helped me understand that it doesn't matter where you go, wherever you are in the world, people are the same and they require the same pieces of information and the same process to actually be able to buy something. And when it came to forming my agency, because we started out as a graphic design and branding agency, we really took that to heart and started to actually understand what people needed to see and how they needed to see things in order to purchase. Now, when we transitioned over to e-commerce about 5 years ago, it actually made a lot more sense because now we were able to visually and physically or virtually take somebody through the ad to the landing page or homepage, to the product page, to the checkout page, and all the way through that funnel. And we were able to optimize each step based off of the information that I had learned over my 7 or 10 years traveling around the world. And that led us into what we do today, which is e-commerce conversion rate optimization. So what we do as a main service now is we help growing e-commerce brands add an extra 20 to 40% in new revenue each month without spending a cent more on ads. And we do that in a number of different ways, but the three main ways we do that are by first looking at the lowest hanging fruits. So these are the easiest, quickest things that we can implement on your store. They might be small, but there's quite a few of them, and that can really get you sort of kick-started in earning more revenue on your store without spending more on ads. Second thing we do is we focus on more core upgrades. Now, this could include page layout, page design, development, fixing different sections on your site that make up those bigger chunks, integrations, app integrations, functionality on your site, how things operate and how things slide in and out. That all makes a huge difference on your website. And then the third piece is the optimizing and testing. So once we've gone through and we've actually, taken care of your quickest, lowest hanging fruit wins, done your core upgrades, we then go and optimize and test. And, sort of month over month, we are optimizing and really kind of split testing and making sure that headlines are working, page layouts are really performing how they should be, and really sort of trying to squeeze the most out of your ad dollars. So that's what we do as a service now. You can find out more about that by clicking below in the description. Now, moving on to the rest of the presentation, now that we're through this, why is above the fold content so important? The biggest thing is this is where users form their first impression, right? When they come over from an ad, usually it's the first thing they're seeing where they can actually click, navigate, learn a lot about the company. Whereas when you're on an advertisement, all you're able to do is just see one piece, whether it's a video or a photo or some sort of graphic, and all you can do is really click. When you get over to the website, that's the first impression they have of your brand, what you have to offer, and how users can actually take some sort of next step. It also gives you control over exactly what your customers see first. So if you're trying to promote a new product, promote a sale, promote a feature or benefit, or not promote a feature or benefit, gives you 100% control over what you see or what your customers see first. It's also where they expect to see the information, the most important information of your brand. And if they don't immediately find what they're looking for, they're more likely to just exit the page and go somewhere else. Now, another part of why it's so important is that it can also affect your search rankings on search engines like Google. So Google, for example, considers content that appears at the top of the page or near the top of the page to be much more important. This means that above the fold content can have a much bigger impact on your search rankings than below the fold content, which means it's so much more important to have the most important stuff in that above the fold area. So now that you understand a little bit more about that, I want to kind of walk through what above the fold actually is. I know a lot of you probably already know this, but I'm going to run through it anyways. So above the fold is the visible part of a website before the user scrolls down. So if we take a look at this diagram here, anything above this red line. Now this would be your screen, this would be your mobile screen. Anything above the bottom of the screen would be considered above the fold, okay? The fold line is where, the unscrolled page cuts off at the bottom. So anything underneath there is called below the fold, right? And what you want to do is you want to have the most important information that your prospective customer should be seeing in this above the fold area, okay? Anything below the fold might still be important, but not as important as what's here. And that's why it's important to have a proper offer, a proper call to action, proper navigation, the right photographs, the right videos, whatever your creative content is, to match your viewer's audience. You also want to be aware of the ad scent as well. So if you're running an ad campaign, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, wherever, Google search, you need to make sure that those creatives and that copywriting style is followed across the board, which is called ad scent. Because if customers click over to your website and it's a different style of writing, a different font, a different creative, different photographs, it kind of throws them off and it kind of makes them feel a little bit uncomfortable, like they're not where they want to be. Maybe this is the wrong page. This doesn't feel comfortable. They're going to go back to safety, which is their, social profile of, social channel of preference, which is where they came from, whether it be Facebook, they're going to go back there. And this is not a new concept, by the way. This has been practiced for over 100 years, as long as, traditional advertising and marketing has been around. So the origins of it is, if you think about a long time ago, when people were purchasing newspapers only before TVs and computers and all this technology, you had to go to a newsstand to buy the news or to find out about the news. And the newspapers, as you can see here, were folded up to look just like this as they sat on the newspaper stand. And you had all the different brands and all the different, publications. And if we were to unfold this newspaper, you would see the bottom of the newspaper here. So what's happening is that all this information that is above that fold line would be the most important information, right? It would be the title of the news publication. It would be the headline news, the most important stories, the most important things that were trying to be, conveyed in that day. Man lands on moon or whatever that happens to be. And then anything underneath that was still important, but not as important as that top headline, that most important news story. So, like I said, this is not a new concept. This is a tried and true process that, has evolved over time, but essentially stayed the same in the way that all the most important and most pertinent information that a customer, reader, viewer needs to see should be in this above the fold area, okay? So now what I want to do is I want to show you some examples of really effective above the fold content in some different websites across the web. Some are brands that I've even purchased from. Some are just random brands that are doing very well that have a very optimized above the fold content. So the first one I want to look at here is Gymshark. Now, Gymshark, one of my favorite brands, I've been purchasing from them for many years now, probably five years or so. And their layout is very effective in that they've got a very clear logo. They've got very clear navigation. They have a very clear headline or a very clear offer, extra 20% off already marked down styles, and then a very simple two choices. Do you want to get 20% off women or men? It says shop women, shop men. And then to enhance that, it's also showing a man wearing some, fitness shorts and what looks like a woman wearing, some fitness pants. Okay. And then to top it all off, they've got this big sale banner just above that red dotted line or dashed line, which is indicative of the fold. It's very effective. It works very well. Moving over to Vessi. Again, another one of my favorite brands. I've purchased many pairs of shoes and boots and apparel from them over the years. Theirs is very effective as well. They've got a very clear offer, end of season sale, up to 35% off site-wide. Okay, great. I've got that. I subscribe to that idea. Perfect. Do I want to shop women or shop men? It's very clear. Nothing else needs to be said there. They also have some social proof here, or really some publications where they've been featured, Forbes, Real Simple. And if you're on the site, you simply just click on any of these little logos and it will pull up a different description here. And as you can see, as we go through these, the mobile version is going to be almost a mirror image. Now, I don't know whether this was designed mobile first or not, but the goal really is to have both of the versions, both mobile and desktop, obviously looking very similar, but also having the same above the fold features, because you never know where someone's going to be looking at it. Moving over to Rosenthal. This is one of my favorite ones, and I'll explain later in this video why it's one of my favorites, because it has everything at the most optimized level that I've seen out there. But again, clear navigation. They've got great photo. They got a lifestyle photo, plus they got photos of their product. Very clear call to action and headline, and then the actual call to action button, shop now, and then a little bit poking above the fold. Now, the reason why this is so important to have information poking above the fold just a little bit is because we don't want customers to feel restricted that all they can see is the hero shot. So if this hero shot extended down to the fold, it might look nice, but what's very effective, and the real reason why you don't want to do that, is you want to give your customers a little sneak peek of what's underneath that fold. You want to pique their interest a little bit, enough to scroll through. Because what happens is, to get a little bit further into the CRO thing, is that when they're looking at this, the main purpose is to get them to click shop now, okay? Or to click one of these navigational options here. If it's not shop now, maybe it's browse bestsellers or whatever whatever that customer wants to look at. But if they're not sold, if they haven't bit here, the very next thing we want them to do is scroll down to learn more, right? See more collections, see more products. And then at the very end, we want them to scroll even further if they still haven't, subscribed. And we want them to read blogs, read about us, read about the sustainability or the, charitable factor of the business, whatever it happens to be. So we always want to keep a little bit of this open to show them just a little bit, just 5-10% of what is to be there, so they can scroll down if they need to. The fourth one here, PHC Skincare, another great example. Very beautiful photo of sunrise, I would imagine, in Los Angeles. Very clear headline offer. Not the clearest call to action button. I'd probably make that a solid, as opposed to a stroke, but either way. And it's very clear. The skincare sensation from Los Angeles, formulated and manufactured in Germany. Great. Okay, so you're seeing this great LA skyline and sunrise. You're seeing this great headline, and you have the ability to just shop now. Okay, very minimal navigation, which is great. And again, right underneath here, just above the fold, we've got different magazines and publications they've been featured in, as well as that little bit of bestsellers sticking up. And we can see here on the mobile version, it's essentially the same thing. Okay, now moving ahead. Got 4 more. And the reason why I'm showing you a bunch of these is I want to articulate this isn't just, 3 or 4 brands, right? I could find 100, 1,000, 10,000 brands that do this, that are really capitalizing on moving people to the next stage in the funnel, because that's what you're trying to do on this above the fold. You're not trying to get them to just add to cart and buy immediately, because they're not in that stage yet. You need to hook them. You need to give them a captivating headline and a call to action that helps move them to the next stage, which is viewing a collection, viewing a product, subscribing, building a bundle, whatever that end action is for your product. This one here, Primal Harvest, beautiful photography. If you go to this site, Primal Harvest, they have some of the cleanest, most crisp, most captivating photography. It's so clean and clear, very, very high resolution, and very, very optimized for web. Very simple call to action here. Embrace the power of greens, and then shop is very high contrast. Okay, again, mobile is the same thing. The only thing that I would change about this is I would lift this up a little bit and actually put some of that, these logos just poking out above the top here. The hoodie, same thing. Great company, great product. We've got great photograph of this model. So we've got sort of a staged model shot with the product. Some sort of a feature or benefit here. High contrast with that Pokemon partnership they have. High contrast button, and then showing a little bit above the fold here with that shop by category, which would obviously be different collections that they're trying to sell. Very clear. And the hoodie is a great example of an almost identical layout in terms of desktop versus mobile. Second last, we've got Coconut, which is a cosmetics brand or a skincare brand rather. And these ones are the best ones, right? When you have these percentages or these buy one, get one offers. So this is a 25% off site-wide, shop now, or sorry, save now. It's great because that's very clear. It's to the point. I'm going to get 25% off everything. Here's somebody who's purchased a product. They look great. They're holding the product. Why would you not click there or at least scroll down a little bit to take a look at what kind of products there are? And with Kino Body, same thing. Selling supplements, Memorial Day sale, get 40% off your first subscription. Great, right? Most of these supplements run on a subscription basis because they're a continuous product you need to keep taking in order to reap the benefits of it. And they've shown a very healthy selection of their products here. And then this very nice shop by goal, which is going to show them different goals that you can search by in order to get the results you're looking for. They also have some logos here of different places they've been featured, bodybuilder, men's health, etc. And again, their layout is very similar to what we see on the desktop. So above the fold is so important because all of these elements have to be in place in the right size, shape, frequency, location, proximity to be able to actually move your customer to the next stage in the funnel. Whether they click shop now, whether they scroll and whether they click on one of these navigational menu items, or whether they whether they scroll down and click on one of these, we want them to move to that next step. And the easiest way to do that is by having the right content in the right place at the right time for the right customer or for the right customer segment. Okay, so just to wrap things up, the most important things you can think about and the biggest key elements you can have on your store are clear navigation. Okay, so whether it's your logo, your actual navigational menu items, or anything like this, call to action buttons or account, search, or cart icons, it all needs to be very clear and concise. We don't want to be too wide. We don't want to have 15 or 20 different menu items. We don't want to have one. Okay, we don't want the logo to be too big or too small where you can't actually read it. It's all got to be in proportion. Okay, you also want to have on-brand photography. All right, so much like here with Rosenthal, they've got very on-brand photography. It's crisp, it's clean, it's clear. It very clearly shows and articulates what it is that the company sells. You're not sitting there guessing, is it toothpaste or is it skincare, like face cream or moisturizer? You know what it is right away. You need to have a captivating headline. So this one has a very captivating headline. The rest of them did as well. It needs to entice. It needs to be captivating enough to draw the person in because that offer is very enticing to the customer. It's also got to have a very direct call to action. We don't want to be, kind of like wishy-washy, like maybe shop now or like browse now. We want to tell them what to do. If you like what you see and you subscribe to that offer headline, take an action now. Shop now, buy now, subscribe now. Be very clear because that's going to help move your customer again to the next stage. And the biggest thing, which we put on all of our stores, and I don't actually see this a lot on a lot of stores, we do see it on a lot of these examples, is the showing the preview of the below the fold content. And like I said, we're not trying to show 3/4 of it. We want to show just 5-10%, just enough so that the customer is going, hey, what's underneath there? I can see there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 products there. Are those new products? Are those collections? What is it? I want to see that, whether it's logos or reviews or products or collections, whatever it happens to be. It's so important to have this because the last thing you want is your customer to feel constricted where they actually can't see what's underneath there, so they're really stuck in this above the fold content and don't feel that they can go anywhere else unless they scroll. And if they don't want to scroll, then they're not going to. So we want to show that preview 100%. And lastly, the reason why this layout for Rosenthal is my favorite and I think the most effective is because it shows a prime example of each one of these here. So the navigation, not so much, to be honest. It's pretty straightforward, but it's still very clean and exactly how you want it to be. More specifically, the photography is great. Why? Because we've got both a lifestyle shot of a person having the after effects of this product. We have then the product itself that she probably was using to reach this effect or this state, the after state. The captivating headline, Holistic Healing Since 2017. So they talk directly about what they do and how long they've been doing it for. So you can see they've been holistically healing their customers since 2017 using this product, and this is what it causes, or this is what this is the positive effect or benefit of using that product. And then the only thing you can do is hit shop now, unless you're up here. Then, in addition to that, if you're still not sold, if you're a 100% cold customer or cold visitor that knows nothing about the company, the next thing you're probably going to do is start scrolling through this area here or scrolling down to see what's underneath this area. And it will then take you through the rest of the site, as we can see on this mobile layout here. Okay. And the last best thing about this is that the mobile layout is almost identical. It shows the identical pieces that need to be in place on both layouts. Now, I'm not sure if this was done mobile first or desktop first, but either way, if it was done mobile first, they made sure to have the same layout on desktop and vice versa. All right. So this is why above the fold is so important. It really helps give your customers that first impression. It really helps dictate where they can go to next, and it really helps give them the information they need to have in order to make that buying decision or to move them into the next step in your funnel. So if you want to learn how you can do this on your store, click below, book a strategy call, and we'll hop on a call with you and we'll show you exactly how you can employ all these different strategies on your homepage above the fold content to help you make more money on your store without spending a cent more on ads. Thanks.